Google, the search engine is dead. Long live Google, the knowledge engine. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to break it down as to what is actually happening here and for what you can do as a marketer or a business owner to win in this new space. My name is Dex. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fomo.ai, working with brands you've probably heard of like Noom and Minted and many, many more. And we are building non-human marketing teams and team members. Supplement them in, really amplify your marketing, human quality, much cheaper, much faster. Fomo.ai, email me Dax, D-A-X at Fomo.ai if you have questions. But let's jump straight into our topic today. For the last 10 years-ish, Google has been the homepage to all of our searching. It's been the homepage to all of our websites. It's where we've all gone to find what we're looking for. And we associate at the moment in our minds Google as a search engine. What does that mean? We expect to be able to give it what we're looking for, and we expect to get links back. And those links we expect to be we're reliant, emotionally reliant, and we expect them to be of the quality we want and will give us the information that we're looking for. That is going away, and that's going to be a problem. First of all, we have a drop in search volume share from Google, about 4%, so not too much at the moment. ChatGPT, of course, is now here, as is Gemini, as is Anthropic, as is a lot of other things. Search GPT is right around the corner from OpenAI. These are taking searches away from Google. TikTok is my wife's primary search engine, particularly if she's looking for something that is visual, like redoing our bathroom, right? So much easier to see other people's short form video content around that topic. And who knew in 2024 Bing was going to be so relevant? But if you don't know, Bing is the search engine that is powering ChatGPT and some others. So we've got this divestiture of attention from Google. Their sort of monopoly on search has been broken, but is also changing far faster than I think anybody really realizes. In addition to that, there's another phenomena happening, and that is the rise of voice search, right? Using your phone and speaking to it instead of doing it. The Hey Siri, Hey Googles, I'm whispering a little bit. I don't want to trigger them in your house. The devices, the watches, right? Wearable devices are really becoming popular. 3 major stats I just pulled from this week. 62% now of Americans use voice assistants. That's much higher, by the way, when you go down in age. The use by age is very, very different. Half of all US consumers are using voice search every single day, and around 45% of Americans use voice on their smartphones, easy for me to say, to discover information. So this is here. So why does this matter? This matters because humans do something interesting when they use their voices. Instead of typing in fragmented statements like Hotel San Francisco, when we use our voices, our brain thinks we're having a conversation, and so we tend to ask questions, right? And so the questions, instead of Hotel San Francisco, are what is the best hotel for me to bring my dog in San Francisco? What is the best hotel for rooms for 6 people? Right? Whatever it is, we give so much more information. And interestingly, I co-founded an ad tech company 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe now, and we were doing this thing called search retargeting, and we were collecting 14 billion with a B search terms every month to use for ad targeting. It wasn't enough data. And it wasn't enough data because there wasn't enough context in just a fragmented statement like hotel in San Francisco. Google actually is relishing the arrival of voice search and conversational search because it gets so much more information. So it's happy about it from that point of view. It has been using that longer than you might think. The people also ask bar, go Google something now, there'll be a people also ask bar for most topics. That is it learning the questions and answers that people have. So we know we've got this divestiture of attention from Google. We know we've got this rise of voice search. Those things combined have really led Google to have to change what it is becoming. ChatGPT came along, September 24, came along really for most of us January 2023, and Google was not ready. I think the entire industry was really taken off guard, and it's been trying a number of things ever since. ChatGPT programmed us so quickly to start having a conversation with something as opposed to that fragmented, put in some search keywords and get some links back. You didn't need to do that anymore because ChatGPT would just give you the answer. Now, of course, a year ago, maybe that answer wasn't so accurate, but it would give you an answer. People preferred that, and so Google has to respond to it. So this new approach to marketing and winning in Google is you have to be part of the conversation. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in a moment. Old school SEO, it's just dead. It doesn't really matter. There's some technical SEO box ticking that you still have to do to make sure Google and others are not blocked from getting access to your content. But really, that's it. Now SEO is much more of a content focus, and that content better understand the questions that your audience have and is able to answer those questions, because that is what people want. Google's had many reactions, as I say, to this. What it's settled on now is AI previews. If you've watched some of my previous videos or I've met with you in the past, you might find, it was called Search Generative Experience. It's AI previews now. And essentially what it does is when you do a search, it doesn't give you links at the top of the screen anymore. It tries to answer the question for you like ChatGPT would. That's enormous and is going to lead to what we think will be a 50% total reduction in clicks from Google. Now, this might sound fanciful and nonsense. I can tell you, I talk to major brands every week to work with Fomo.ai, and many brands are down 15 to 25% in their clicks already. They thought it was an old school SEO problem, right? So they're trying to throw more money at it and say, optimize me out of this problem. I've clearly slipped in the rankings. Actually, usually their rankings are staying exactly the same. It's not that at all. It is the fact that the total number of clicks have reduced. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not the total number of searches that have reduced. It's just that some of those searches are no longer on Google, and some of those searches that are happening on Google are being answered by Google. Google is now a knowledge engine, right? It's not a search engine sending you to links. It's a knowledge engine because it's trying to answer all of those questions for you. This is a monumental shift. Now, there was a conference last week in Silicon Valley, and the argument was, does it matter where the click's from, if it's Google or not? It doesn't really, as long as you are ready to win those clicks from SearchGPT, from all the places voice search will connect in the future, from TikTok, right? It's just made it more complicated. As marketers, we used to have a degree of certainty, right? You'd do PPC on Google, great. Do that until you maxed your spend out. You could do social ads, that's dying and becoming a problem. And you could put some money into SEO and you'd get some keywords ranking and you'd get some organic traffic. It was a pretty reliable playbook that marketers have had for a while now. It doesn't really work anymore for many industries because of these changes. So what's the new playbook? Well, let me move my face out of the way here for you. The new playbook is, first you have to know the conversation, right? So the conversation is not now just keywords. I don't want you thinking about what keywords do I rank for, because really in a conversational world, the only thing that matters is for who. Because Google knows so much about us that every conversation everybody has, even if they're saying same or similar things, is going to give different results. It knows you, right? It's like a friend talking to you. So you have to understand the conversation based in topics, sure, keywords, but then all the questions people are asking. So then you have to have the attention and authority. What this means is, I don't want you to think about, if you sell, tents, for instance, and you're REI, and you think about your competition and you think about all the other places you can buy tents and outdoor gear, okay, that's not the point anymore. The point is who has the attention in the conversation. And that is probably outdoor magazines. It is probably videos on YouTube. It's probably shorts on YouTube. It's probably clips on TikTok. It is probably online magazines, newspapers, etc. That is who your attention is for the competition. You are no longer just in competition with your competition. You are now in the situation of trying to compete for attention in the conversation. So that is about understanding the attention on authority, and really you can do a lot of that by just spending a lot of time in Google and starting some of those searches yourself, use an incognito browser so it's not sort of pre-trained to you, and then have a look around and see who has that attention. We can help you with some tools as well if need be. Then you want to turn that conversation into the questions. So as we said, keywords matters far less. What I care about is the questions. And there are probably 100 to 500 core questions for almost any industry. And then there will be tens of thousands of questions that cover off all of the different ways those core questions can be asked. It's a big deal. And it's ironic that AI has created this problem, arguably, because this is all Google's reaction to AI. But really, AI is the only solution. You can't realistically have 10,000 articles written that answer all of these questions just with humans. You ironically need to use the AI to help you do that. Then you have to provide the answers to these questions in the format and location where the audience want them to be. Some of you are going to have to start spending more time on Reddit answering questions. Some of you are going to have to be on Quora, and I say that a bit reluctantly because I don't really know where Quora is going. Feels like there's a lot of sort of spam and stuff on Quora at the moment, but still, it gets a lot of traffic. You have to think, is my audience primarily looking for me to be in the conversation on Facebook, right? That's not true for a lot of probably your brands now, but it certainly is for some based on the demographic. So you have to be there. And then the content you produce, you have to drive attention to it, right? So that's organic social, it's paid social, it's other form of ads. That's the new playbook, right? That's the new playbook. Now, if Google are no longer a search engine and they are a knowledge engine, it used to just assess your website on two high-level things. The SEO experts here might kill me on this, but high level, it would figure out what's your site about, is there content on there that's of good value, etc. And it would include you in some of the search results, and then it would gauge how many people hit your site and bounce back. And if lots of people bounce back and had to find another link, it would determine your content was less good, and vice versa. Now it's a knowledge engine. You're going to be reading those answers, and it needs to know that the information it's going to summarize back to that person is trustworthy. Trustworthy is to, it'll do that with this thing called EATS: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And it basically does it on a scoring system, high level. So let's take, for instance, something like immigration in the US. I can tell you, I was originally a Brit. I now have dual citizenship, British and US. I can tell you my experience of that, specifically about being a Brit, is okay, right? I'm not an immigration attorney. I'm not an immigration judge. I don't work for the immigration service. So my immigration experience isn't particularly great. Therefore, I'm not the expert. People aren't generally coming to me thinking, oh, I have an immigration question, I'm going to go seek out DAX, right? That just doesn't happen. Therefore, I'm not the authority on it, and therefore Google will determine I probably have a low trustworthiness around that topic. Now, if the topic is a subtopic and a niche, such as a British father of kids relocating to the US for certain reasons, I have a lot of experience in that a lot of people might not. Therefore, my expertise in that tiny, narrow niche of immigration is actually quite high. And therefore, if people knew what my experience was, why I did it, etc., then they would probably say, oh, if I'm ever in that exact position, DAX is the authority on this, and therefore my trust goes up. So you've got to think about, it is no longer this idea of, oh, well, my site, my brand is going to score very well for this topic of being outdoors, right? Well, is it? For all of those niches that you want to play in? Or is that conversation being owned by other people because they've demonstrated that when someone searches specifically for a waterproof, snowproof, bear-proof, I know there's not such a thing, a tent, right? And they're writing content about that, they're answering questions about that, they're going to beat you all day long. Right? Because that's their niche. So you also have to think about, what am I an expert in as my brand? Can I demonstrate that? I need to generate content around that. What am I not an expert in? Where do I not have the trust? How do I go generate the content to do that? Right? That's the sort of bigger situation. There's a few tactical things. Here's a screenshot from GQ. You will notice now all their articles have author names. I've highlighted it here. And those go to author pages. You have to have author pages now. And those author pages have to be hyperlinked from the article ideally, and they have to talk about why you as the author have this credibility. I've underlined all the things here for this chap, Tom Ward, why he is transmitting good double eat signals to Google for this topic of fitness journalist and novelist. And they're even allowing him to include a link to his personal X account. This is the new world, right? Google was a search engine. You had to have a good site. Google is now a knowledge engine. It's going to take all your information, summarize it as though it's its own, and then say it back to people. It now has to make sure that it trusts what it's summarizing, because we've emotionally and mentally switched from seeing Google as a search engine to becoming a knowledge engine. Well, with all these clicks disappearing, we've now broken the promise that Google had, which was if you publish content, Google would index it and they'd send you back people in return. And that's not happening anymore, right? It's just not happening anymore at the same rate. So if there's 50% reduction in all the clicks, and assume now most industries are already 15 to 20% down. So this is, again, very real and happening already. Will this not kill Google? Short term, I think it's going to hurt them, because they're going to have to figure out the play here, and they're going to have to be very careful about how they position their brand as they go. I don't think they have a choice, because they're in what is, I would argue, is the last great tech war that ever matters, right? We are all very soon going to reach the point where we choose the AI that is with us for the rest of our lives. And I argue that will most likely happen through the phone first, and therefore that tech war is going to be between Apple and Android. Is Google prepared to sacrifice several years of revenue that it was generating from clicks in order to be in that fight and push everything to AI, learn the AI as fast as it can, get all its users using its AI to the point then you will never leave it? I would argue that if they are thinking that strategically about it, that's exactly what they're willing to do. I think that's exactly what they're willing to do. You imagine if you now start working with your own personal AI, and we're at September 24 here, and Apple are releasing iOS 18 with their AI assistant. It's going to be crappy. It's not going to be as good as you want it to be yet, but it will be soon. Right? Every time we get a new AI model, it's more than twice as good, and it's half the price, right? So this amplification of capability is coming fast and fast and fast. So yeah, I do think Google will be willing and happy to take the hit. Maybe happy shouldn't be in there. They're a public company and they're going to have to deal with quarters of share price. But I think they're going to have to do it if they want to be in this fight. And in the meantime, that just makes life harder for companies and marketers. The good news is, I'm shocked every week when I talk to these big brands that haven't done anything about this yet. So there is still very much first mover advantage. For how long, I don't know, but there is still first mover advantage. Okay, appreciate you joining me. I always like to present all this information for you as quick as I can. My name is Dax, dax@Fomo.ai. Shoot me an email. Ask me questions. Let me know what you think. And if you're interested, Fomo.ai, we have built the world's first automated marketing teams. Right? You go from keyword analysis. We have an AI researcher that looks at the topic, creates an outline of the article, writes human quality content, AI editor that gives feedback to the AI writer. And when you first start watching those two talk to each other, it's kind of a little disconcerting. It's like watching the fastest conversation you've ever seen in Slack. And we even had an article the other day where the AI editor sent it back to the AI writer 16 times until it was happy. Then another AI team kicks in and produces the social media posts, and next it'll be emails, etc. We have that today, and so if you want to email me and set up a time, or Fomo.ai, and there's a schedule a call link on there. Thanks very much for joining me. Really appreciate it.